a few reflections on the 18th juz of the Quran Kareem, which was recited in Salatul Taraweeh this evening. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala starts off with a very emphatic statement, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, that indeed the believers have succeeded. Now let me pause at this point and highlight a very important aspect, and that is the recipe and the blueprint for success is to be found in the Quran. The Quran will tell you how to be successful in this world and how to be successful in the hereafter. When Shaykh al-Hind Rahmatullah alayhi was imprisoned on Malta, and after a prolonged period of imprisonment, when he came out, now when you're in prison, you have a lot of time to reflect and to introspect and to weigh up and to assess things. People told him, Hazrat, after all of this time reflecting on the plight and the condition of the Ummah, have you come to a conclusion as to where the solution lies? He says, yes, the solution lies in coming back to the Quran, in having an established relationship with the Quran, not only in terms of recitation, but also in terms of meaning, in terms of instruction, following the blueprint of the Quran. So Allah says, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ, the believers have succeeded, but believers with certain qualities. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Allah says, those believers who have khushu in their salah. This is something that we should work on during the month of Ramadan, when the environment is more conducive. Work on the quality of your salah. Don't just look at getting through. Okay, I've got to read 20 rakahs, let me get through it. I've got to read my 5 daily salah, let me get through it. One is to discharge an obligation, that's your first responsibility. But work on constantly improving the quality of your salah. Yesterday I was listening to a narration, they say, Ali radiyallahu anhu, when he used to make wudu, his face used to change color. People used to tell him, what's happening? Why is it having such an effect on you making wudu? He says, because it's dawning upon me in front of who I'm going to stand. When I stand in salah, in front of who am I going to stand? So, الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Now, many of us want to have khushu in salah, but then we have a question that how do I develop khushu in salah? It's a different topic for a different day, but let me say this, two things I'll say with you. One is, come early for salah and calm yourself down. When you come rushed into salah, you're busy talking on your phone, you're busy engaging with somebody, as you're taking off your shoes, you're just sending one more WhatsApp message. Now your brain is working overtime. You're rushed. You're already thinking of what you need to do immediately after salah, and then you enter into salah. There's going to be no focus, there's going to be no concentration, there's going to be no dedication in that salah. You need to come early, perform your salah, your sunnats with ease. So your whole mind and your soul and your body and everything settles. And you wait a little bit for salah, read Quran, make dhikr, as far as possible. Sometimes you may be rushed, yes. Sometimes you just make it for salah and you have to leave again, understood. But as far as possible, try to be early and try and calm yourself, try and clear your mind. When you do that, you've already won half the battle in terms of focus and concentration in salah. Now, the devil will only come to a heart in which there is iman. Like the thief will only go to a house in which there is valuables. No thief goes to an empty house. So shaitan, irrespective of what you do, will still try and distract you in salah. Things that you can't remember out of salah, you'll remember in salah, right? But so that's out of your control. But what is within your control is every time he tries to distract you, is bring your thoughts back. And for that effort, Allah Ta'ala will reward you. The second tip that I can give you in terms of improving your khushu and your concentration in salah is this, that make a proper wudu according to the sunnah. Now when they say make a proper wudu according to the sunnah, don't overdo it, don't underdo it. Some ulama have said if you waste water when you make wudu, you won't have khushu in salah. But then if you make such a wudu where you're just doing what's necessary to do and you're not following through properly, thoroughly, as per the sunnah way of making wudu, then you're compromising your preparation for salah, so the quality of your salah will be compromised. الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Then the third quality Allah talks about, وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Those who avoid that which is irrelevant. Technology is a boon or it's a bane. It depends what you make of it. But how much of time and how much of our lives is wasted in reading messages that have no value, in chatting or just browsing through groups that makes no sense, and in just aimlessly going through social media. That is also lahu. That is also la ya'ni. It's the modern day form of it. La ya'ni and lahu is not only that you interact with one another in terms of that which is irrelevant, or you talk about that which is futile. Of course, that also falls within the meaning here. But aimlessly, just sitting, it's time to sleep. Sleep early so you can wake up early. You're browsing, you're going through this chat group, that chat group. It's an addiction. It's an addiction. First thing when you wake up in the morning, your eyes are hardly open. I would see my phone, FOMO, the fear of missing out. What happened in the last couple of hours while I was sleeping? Before you go to bed, like this the phone will drop on your head also as you're falling off to sleep. That's why today even non-Muslims are saying, don't use the alarm on your phone. Use another alarm. Put the phone in the distance. Let it charge there. When you wake up in the morning, first take the name of Allah. Focus it. Orientate yourself. Read your morning adhkar. But if anybody died, you get the news. Don't worry. If there's any emergency that get hold of you like they used to get hold of people before, you don't have to go and check, hey, did I get a few more followers on Instagram? Any retweets to my tweet? Anybody replied to my what? Because it's not even good for you physically. Your brain starts racing before your body and everything is warmed up. I mean, even the expert sprinter, he doesn't just jump up from the morning and start sprinting. There's all warm-up exercises. So spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you need to get yourself going first in the morning. Take the name of Allah. When you wind down, now the experts are saying at least 2 hours before you sleep, don't look at the screen. Because then your brain works too quickly, too fast. So you don't wind down nicely, and it even then compromises the quality of your sleep. So avoid, one is you use technology for that which is good. You're listening to Quran before you sleep, or you're listening to a lecture, or you're engaging with somebody or an important message, understood. But there's so much of irrelevant interaction that's taking place. It's eating away at our lives. Every second that passes in your life is a second that passes away, never to return. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ لِفُرُوجِهِمْ حَافِظُونَ. Those who protect their chastity. Now, today technology has made immorality more accessible. Today technology has made immorality more accessible. Before, you wanted to do hanky-panky, as they would say, you needed to sneak around, you needed to worry, nobody must see me, nobody must check me, where can I go? Now, from the room, when we were growing up, our parents were worried we mustn't go missing on a Saturday night. Today, as a parent, you must be worried, what is my son doing all alone in his room on a Saturday night? They say if your children are gone quiet in the house, you don't know what they're up to, just switch off the Wi-Fi, they'll all coming out. In South Africa, we have lots of problems with load shedding, electricity. So in the initial days, when the electricity used to go, the first concern was the fridge, the freezer. How are we going to warm the food? How are we going to make the tea? Now, the Wi-Fi. So the first thing they buy a UPS or a backup system for is the Wi-Fi. To some extent, now everything works on that. The husband's work, the wife's work, the children's homework, understood. But be careful, even as adults, it's not only for children. Be careful about the promiscuity and the immorality which will pop up and land on your device. It compromises you spiritually, it compromises you mentally. Addiction to digital pornography has not only destroyed marriages, it has fried people's brains. People can't function any longer. Because in the old days you had to sneak out, you had to have money, you had to go and buy the dirty magazine under a cloud of cover. Now everything is coming to you free into the palm of your hands. Now you're chatting, they said it's a platonic relationship, but then you're sending heart-throbbing emojis to a ghair mahram. Allah cautions us, listen, Allah is aware. Your wife may not be aware, your husband may not. You're browsing on Twitter, on Facebook, you're ogling at ghair mahram men and ghair mahram women. All of this is contaminating your heart spiritually. What we spoke about Jummah time. And we say, why? I read namaz, but I don't get no enjoyment. I read Quran, but I don't get no satisfaction. Because you're pouring pure milk into a dirty container. The eyes, Shaitan uses the eyes to soil the heart. That's why Allah said in the verses recited in tonight's Taraweeh, normally Allah just addresses men and women simultaneously. Allah doesn't address men and women separately. But on the issue of controlling the gaze, Allah says, قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ يَغُضُّوا مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِمْ قُلْ لِلْمُؤْمِنَاتِ يَغْضُضْنَ مِنْ أَبْصَارِهِنَّ. It's so important, Allah says men and women. Sometimes our mothers and sisters, they clad in hijab, they clad in niqab, but from behind the niqab, they're checking all and sundry. Now the husband mustn't look, but the wife can feast her eyes. It's haram for you as it's haram for him. So it's difficult. It's an ongoing challenge. You'll slip, but you've got to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get going again. Because it's a poisonous arrow from the arrows of shaitan. But you know what? As difficult as it is, it's not impossible. Otherwise Allah wouldn't have made it haram for you. And here's the good news. If you control your gaze for the pleasure of Allah, then in the hadith it is mentioned Allah will grant you the sweetness of Iman. And the sweetness of Iman is such, when Allah grants it to you, Allah will never take it back. It means inshallah you will die with Iman. So you want a ticket to Jannah? Learn to control your gaze. Because when you don't control your gaze, that's when your chastity becomes vulnerable. So many hafiz, so many alim, so many muttaqi, pious person have slipped. Because they say when the mud is thick, even the elephant slips. When the mud is thick, even the elephant slips. We live in a very sexually charged environment, a very promiscuous environment. Nudity is the flavor of the day. I mean, you go to the shopping mall just to go and do ordinary shopping, and you know what, the kind of dress code has become acceptable in society, but we still have to control our gaze. And Allah cautions us in this regard. One more aspect before I conclude. Towards the end of Surah Mu'minun, Allah says, حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءَ أَحَدَهُمُ الْمَوْتُ قَالَ رَبِّ ارْجِعُونَ. Those who did not make the most of this life which Allah has given them, when death comes, they'll say, Allah, give us another chance. لَعَلِّي أَعْمَلُ صَالِحًا فِيمَا تَرَكْتُ. We'll do better. كَلَّا. No second chance. There's only one bite at the cherry of life. And life is short. Life is short. That's why we've got to wake up now. What is it going to take us? What's it going to take for us to wake up? To realize that life is running out on us. In this very juz which was recited tonight, Allah says on the day of Qiyamah it will be asked, كَمْ لَبِثْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ عَدَدِ السِّنِينَ. How many years did you live? A man who lived 100 years will say, لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْدَ يَوْمٍ. Maybe a day or a portion of the day. لَبِثْنَا يَوْمًا أَوْ بَعْدَ يَوْمٍ فَاسْأَلِ الْعَادِّينَ قَالَ إِن لَبِثْتُمْ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا لَوْ أَنَّكُمْ كُنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ. It's a short life, but a very profound opportunity. In this life, you can set up yourself for eternal bliss and eternal salvation. But you have only one chance at life. The concluding verses of that surah, Allah says, those who did not take the opportunity to its maximum, it will be said to them, أَفَحَسِبْتُمْ أَنَّمَا خَلَقْنَاكُمْ عَبَثًا. Did you think we created you for play and amusement? You thought life was one big joke? وَأَنَّكُمْ إِلَيْنَا لَا تُرْجَعُونَ. Did you forget that you have to return to Allah? فَتَعَالَى اللَّهُ الْمَلِكُ الْحَقِّ. You'll have to stand before Allah, the King and the owner of all dominion. La ilaha illahu huwa rabbul arshil kareem. Imagine yourself standing before the arsh azim of Allah, having to account to Allah for every second of your life. May Allah make it easy for us. Those who will ask for a second chance on that day, Allah will say, أَوَلَمْ نُعَمِّرْكُمْ. Did I not give you life? مَا يَتَذَكَّرُ فِيهِ مَنْ تَذَكَّرَ. I gave you enough time to reflect and to fix and to remedy your situation. وَجَاءَكُمُ النَّذِيرُ. I sent you many warnings. Every time there was a janazah, there was a warning. Every time you got sick, there was a warning. Every time a grey hair appeared, there was a warning. You're getting old. When your grandchild was born, hey, you were happy, I'm Dada, I'm Nana. It was a warning, you're getting old. You did not heed all of these warnings. Now you say, I want a second chance. رَبَّنَا أَخْرِجْنَا نَعْمَلْ صَالِحًا غَيْرَ الَّذِي كُنَّا نَعْمَلْ. That Allah granted me a second chance, we will do that which we did not do the first time. No second chance. One chance at life. إِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. Sometimes a man has a piece of morsel in his hands. It's not decreed for it to enter his mouth. Sometimes he says, I'm on my way for Hajj. It's not decreed for him to reach the Haram. Sometimes he says, I'm on the way to the masjid. It's not decreed for him to enter into the masjid. Sometimes he just walks out and tells his wife, I'll be back in a jiffy, and he doesn't come back. That's the nature of life. Today you're here, tomorrow you're gone. The thing is, how did you go and how did Allah receive you? That is the message which is being sounded out very loud in the Quran and in these verses which I have shared with you tonight. Start to take your life seriously. Start to prepare for the akhirah in a very serious way. May Allah grant us all the tawfiq.